How did the Ocklawaha, one of Florida's most pristine rivers, go from this to this? For 150 years, Florida's business and political elites promoted the idea of building a canal across the state to connect the Atlantic Ocean with the Gulf of Mexico. If it had been completed, it would have been considerably larger than the Panama Canal. In 1964, President Lyndon Johnson came to the groundbreaking ceremony to begin turning that idea into reality.
Ladies and gentlemen, it pleases me to report to the people of Florida and the nation that the long-sought Cross-Florida Barge Canal is now well underway. Construction at both ends of the 107-mile protected inland waterway artery has been progressing for many months.
Boosters of the canal project had long touted its value in promoting economic growth, improving transportation, and even in enhancing national security.
During World War II, our heaviest losses in merchant shipping to submarines occurred on voyages around Florida. The Cuban crisis and lurking foreign subs brought home once again the urgent need for the Cross-Florida Canal. It not only cuts the distant 600 miles, but eliminates this submarine threat.
In the 1940s, the defense angle is really hit upon. As German submarines are torpedoing thousands of tons of American shipping off of the Florida coast, especially petroleum ships, the canal is foisted upon the public as an alternative way to protect shipping from the ravages of submarines.
From the standpoint of national defense, if we could keep our vessels off of the open sea and in sheltered waters and up and down the East Coast and the Intercoastal Waterway and in other sheltered areas so they would not be subject to submarine attack.
Boy, he never changed his mind about that canal. As far as he was concerned, if we didn't have that canal, the U-boats were going to shell our tankers again.
The great American common sense would come through and they would begin to laugh about it. You could make this project. And the press caught on. Very quickly, the press caught on. The vast majority of the press said this is the most absurd thing we've ever heard of.
But boosters continued to utilize this and place it in the context of the Cold War. Now, by the 1950s, it's not necessarily German submarines who are going to cause the problem. It's Russian submarines that are going to cause the problem.
And the thought of Russian submarines attacking coal-carrying ships when we were both facing off with missiles that could just cause mutual destructions to both countries seemed to me to be highly speculative, if not downright amusing.
And with the establishment of a communist regime on the island of Cuba, 90 miles off of the coast of Florida, by the early 1960s, this really plays into the hands of canal supporters. Now it is a real problem that can be solved.
Critics of the project said it was a huge waste of taxpayer money, a boondoggle.
I think the Cross-Florida Barge Canal is one of the greatest boondoggles that has ever been perpetrated on the Florida public and the United States public.
As president of the National Audubon Society, he decided that the society would take on the Cross-State Barge Canal. They claimed it was one of the greatest political and economic boondoggles in the history of the United States.
It was a boondoggle to start with, a big government, typical liberal, let's build something for no reason. There was never any justification for any concept of barges moving back and forth. Did nothing except spend federal money on a big project.
With construction of the massive canal already in progress, strongly supported by top elected officials in state government and the President of the United States, a small group of concerned citizens set out to save the Ocklawaha River and stop the canal. The opposition to the Cross-Florida Barge Canal came to be led by Marjorie Carr, the mother of 5 and the wife of acclaimed wildlife biologist Archie Carr. Drawing on her own background in science and her skills as an organizer, she helped to found and lead Florida Defenders of the Environment.
Marjorie Carr is just so fundamentally important to this project for a variety of reasons. She had this knack for organization, for publicity, for managing so many different personalities.
Well, of course, the key was Marjorie Carr, who formed Florida Defenders of the Environment with support from every environmental organization.
Marjorie was tenacious, is the best way to say that, in opposing the canal. And I think she was the key person in really defeating the canal.
In 1971, Marjorie Carr, Florida Defenders of the Environment, and their allies convinced President Richard Nixon to halt construction of the canal, but not before tremendous environmental damage had been done. To this day, a useless dam and reservoir built for the long-dead barge canal remains in place, damaging the Ocklawaha River and flooding one of the most important wildlife habitats in the southeastern United States. At the expense of taxpayers, a dam that serves no useful purpose is being preserved by a handful of special interests. There are many ecological, recreational, and economic benefits to be gained by removing the Rodman Dam. 16 miles of river, 20 natural springs, and 7,500 acres of forest will be restored, including the reconnection of a 40-mile-long migratory pathway for manatees, as well as an important wildlife corridor adjacent to Ocala National Forest. The Cross-Florida Barge Canal was stopped many years ago, but removing Rodman Dam and restoring the Ocklawaha River remain unfinished tasks. We need your help to complete this documentary and to share this story as widely as possible. Major filming and archival research have been completed, so your contribution will help to fund editing, post-production, marketing, and distribution. Your tax-deductible contribution will earn you more than screen credit. You will enjoy the satisfaction of contributing to the restoration of one of Florida's most historic rivers.